So pivot tables can be a little frustrating to start off with and provide many opportunities for getting confused as we work with them. So I'm going to start with a really basic set of data here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down some basic data. In this case, we'll start by, since we're working with sex, we'll do that the same way. Male, female, male, male, female, and male. So in this case, I've coded it with male for M, M for male, F for female. In the data, we had 1 for male, 2 for female. And then I will put down here age, and we'll put down some numbers for these. And let's say, in this case, maybe we're working with people. We have an 18-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 19-year-old, a 21-year-old, a 24-year-old, and an 18-year-old. And let's say I wanted to find the average for these. Well, we already saw that we could do equals average, type that in, and then do, in this case, B2 through B7. And that's an easy way to get this right off the bat. But there's no easy way here to get the average by sex in this case. We can't really easily get the average by male or by female. So what we're going to do instead is we will turn to a pivot table. But rather than doing that right now, I'm going to go ahead and sort of make a table here where I type out male and female. And then we can look at the frequency of each. So I can say the frequency of each, and in this case I count. And so you have 4 males and 2 females. We could also look at the average age of each, male and female. And we can look at the average age. And I can look at the males and say, okay, I've got 18 plus 19 is 37, plus 21 is 58, plus 18 gives me 75 divided by 4. It gives me 18.75, I think. I'm going to say equals 75 over 4, so I don't mess that up. And for the females, we have a 20 and a 24-year-old, so their average age would be 22. If we were to look at the whole thing, well, I can actually do something here where I select and click and select those, and it tells me down here at the bottom the average is 20. And so we could have up here, then the total, the average age was 20. And so that's doing it sort of by looking at it, which is generally not what you want to do for a pivot table, or if you have a really large set of data, you wouldn't want to have to do it by hand. And so what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to click inside the set of data here, and depending on whether you're using Excel for Mac or Google Sheets or Excel Online or Excel in the lab, or which version of Excel, the format of the setup's a little bit different, but the basic principles are the same. So I'm going to do insert and then pivot table. And sometimes I'll have this recommended pivot tables that can be really handy. But we're going to work with just the basics for now. I'm going to do insert pivot table, and this is going to put it on a new worksheet. You don't always have to do a new worksheet, but I'm going to do that here. Actually, I'll go ahead and put it on this other one that we're working on just now, so that we can see where we want it to go. I'm going to put it here next to the data so we can just work with it and see the data itself in this case. So if I'm looking to summarize the average age by male and female, then that needs to be our row labels. So we're going to drag age down to the row labels, and it gives me all of the ages there. Well, is that correct? In this case, we don't want age, we want male or female there. Age is going to be the values that we're interested in, and sex are going to be the row labels that we're interested in. So the sex is the row labels. In this case, we have female and male. And then it tells us what it's done here is it's taking the sum of the ages. But we don't want the sum, we want the average. It looks like I added up the male's age a little bit wrong. The sum of the males was 76, not 75. So I could fix my previous error there if I wanted to. But we go back and click in the pivot table here. It brings up our builder. We don't want the sum of the age. What we want to do instead is right click on it and and there's some of these are a little bit easier to work with, but we can either format the cells, hide, refresh data, sort smallest to largest, select different things, group and outline, some other things there. I'm going to click field settings, and I want to find the average. and boom, it gives me the average there in that case there. If we wanted the count, we can double click on it down here, or click on this and do a right click, and sometimes that's not working. Field settings here, we can do count, summarize by count, and it tells me how many I have, right? 2 females, 4 males.